We are healing wounds around leadership and what it means to be a bold, strong leader this month. And oh my God, I literally just had my robe on and I had to throw on this sweater because the downloads that have been slamming into my heart, my mind, my soul this morning around where humanity is heading when it comes to leadership are blowing my mind. Okay, so we just had Mars retrograde in Cancer. And what Mars retrograde in Cancer was doing is it wanted us to connect to our emotional truth and start to become aware of how our emotions either drive us into certain actions or keep us held back from taking certain actions. Is wanting us to connect to our emotions in a new way when it comes to leadership, when it comes to aggression, passion, all the different things related to Mars. Mars is willpower, passion, it's fights, it's accidents, it's leadership, it is pure yang, willpower energy. So when it's in a sign like Cancer, we're looking at this yang, willpower, leadership, bold energy when it comes to this soft, nurturing, emotional, intuitive, sensitive planet. And now Mars is direct. We're integrating a lot of those lessons. And the thing that just came through to me, because all March during this Pisces Virgo eclipse, this is the first eclipse we're having in the Pisces Virgo axis. This is huge for humanity. We are evolving into a new phase of humanity, one that hasn't come in hundreds of years. So this is a big deal right now. And because of that, we're having to dissolve this old way of doing things and emerge into this new way of doing things. And where I'm seeing this emergence is happening in leadership. It's happening in authenticity. So Pluto went into Aquarius. We all know, a lot of people have heard we're in the Aquarian age. Well, Aquarian age, what it's trying to do is push us to gain power through authenticity, push us to rebel against the status quo and old ways of building society, old ways of creating structural systems. And we're becoming a lot more humanitarian, which requires a lot more authenticity and thinking outside of the box. So the old way of leadership was very disconnected from emotion. It was very much, your emotions are not going to help you, put them behind you, full steam ahead, just reach the goal. Your emotions are going to hold you back. Like, we almost demonized that feminine energy because we lived in a very patriarchal society. And now that's switching. A lot more feminine energy is coming into our society. We're regaining that balance. And so now that we're moving into authenticity, well, we can't just push emotions away anymore. We can't just shove emotions down anymore. No, we're being taught that your emotions are power and they're fuel. And that we've actually had to work really fucking hard, way harder than we would have if we just used our emotions all of this time. You know, we're just leaving Pluto and Capricorn. That was about climbing to the top of the hierarchy, building the business, doing whatever you can to build the business. It doesn't fuck your emotions. Capricorn's the opposite side of Cancer. Cancer's like sensitive, sweet, nurturing mom. Capricorn's like, fuck your feelings, get to the goal. Emotions aren't going to help you get you there. We all know that kind of person. That drill sergeant. It's very focused on realness in the here and now, and it doesn't want to hear your baby cries. And so that is how we've learned to build society up until now. But it doesn't work anymore. And we're seeing that in society at large, where a lot of these hierarchical systems are not trusted anymore because the way they were built was built on shadow and not a nurturing, connected, emotional feeling. They were built on hard, cold, getting to the top of the ladder, getting cash, and not caring if they're out of integrity, not caring if the stuff they're selling really works or not, because it's just about Capricorn when I'm an authority. Well, we're way too sensitive to that shit now. Humanity's consciousness has been rising. The earth has been rising to the level of the heart chakra. And because we're way too conscious of that now, we can see bullshit. It's why the narcissist movement is so big right now. People are seeing through illusions. They're seeing through bullshit. They're getting connected to their intuition and how things feel. We're no longer just trusting what people say and cool marketing tactics and, NLP, and it's emotional. Emotion is being brought into the human existence, and it's been denied for a very long time. And so we're learning to integrate it. So when it comes to this new way of leadership, if you're leading in a way that is void of emotion and just about climbing the ladder, that is going to be outed over these next few years. Because when Pluto leaves a sign, Pluto just left Capricorn, all the shadows come out. So if you built a business, if you try to climb the ladder in a shadow way, which was stuffing down your emotions, not really being connected to your heart, and you're being connected to your emotions in astrology is being connected to your soul. So building a business that's soulless, those shadows are going to be revealed over these next few years because we can feel it. And so if someone keeps trying to build a business in that way, it's going to be destruction, Pluto destruction. It's not gonna work anymore. But if you build a business with authenticity, radical authenticity, the type of authenticity that likely counteracts what you think it means to be an authority, that is what's going to shine these next few years. Because now Pluto's in Aquarius, and the Aquarius is the underdog. Pluto is power and control. The underdog. Pluto gives power to those who are radically authentic and surrendered to their authentic truth and don't care that they're going against the grain and aren't trying to manipulate and climb the ladder. So Pluto will, if you try to manipulate and climb the ladder, like if you try to be a fake weirdo, if you try to be a fake change maker, like you're not really being the person sharing your authentic ideas, but you're stealing them from someone you see as the underdog. I'm seeing this a lot right now in the Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni case. It's why I'm obsessed with it, because it's like got a bigger astrological significance to me. But you can't steal the underdog shine anymore. Pluto is going to reward those who are radically authentic. It's going to reward the underdog. The underdog is rising. And what that looks like is emotional vulnerability in leadership is also rising. And so what I see this March with these eclipses happening is Mars in Cancer is building a square. That's a challenging aspect to Chiron and Aries. Chiron is the collective wound. And right now it's in Aries. There's this collective wound around Aries themes. That's the self, the identity, but Aries is leadership. There's a collective wound around leadership and how we use our willpower and masculine yang energy. And the thing is because we've been devoid of emotion as we've been leading, that's been the wound. And we didn't even realize we were wounding ourselves by stuffing your emotion down, pushing it down. It's why there's so many somatic therapist healers right now trying to just heal people to connect them to their emotions, because we've been like, no, the last several hundred years. And I know exactly what it feels like, because for so long, I tried to find success in my life through just going ham. Like in college, I was prescribed Adderall, and I was just taking it, and I was working 30 hours a week. I was studying my ass off. I remember I felt anxious all the time doing homework, and I was like, I guess this is just normal. I'm just supposed to go at this pace and feel like I'm on the verge of an anxiety attack every 2 seconds. Like, I just thought that's how it was supposed to be. And it's so funny because when I went to go start my business, it's so opposite of who I am, who I forced myself to be, that it just didn't work in my business. And I would feel so anxious and stressed out all the time. And I wondered why nothing was working. And I felt so disconnected from my business. And it was once I finally faced my biggest fear of slowing down and literally just going into deep recovery mode, not doing anything for days on end, that I finally got the intuitive knowing, the alignment for what my business needed to be, and eventually I became an astrologer, and now I'm connected to emotion and leadership. And now there's a new layer of that coming online for me this month, which is how I'm coming to all of these conclusions. So to tie it all in, as Mars in Cancer, I'm going to return to my story in a second, goes through the degrees, and it's coming to build this challenging aspect with this collective wound around leadership and what it means to be a leader. And here's part of that wound is people think what it means to be a leader is to put on a hard face and seem like you have it all together and seem like you're a tough authority and you're confident. But it's almost, the wound is that we've built this fake confidence because we're not connected to our emotional truth. We've been stuffing it. And so as Mars, which rules Chiron right now, because Mars rules Aries, so with Chiron and Aries, whatever Mars is doing is impacting that collective wound. So with it being in Cancer, this emotional sign, as Cancer builds in a square to Chiron, it's itching that collective wound around leadership. And the challenge is we're having to integrate our emotions with leadership. How does that happen? That sounds embarrassing, right? That sounds like the opposite of what we've been taught about leadership. Now my story comes back in. Okay. This is what I've realized the last few weeks. I've been putting content out that's come from my head. When it comes from my head, I feel really disconnected from it. I'm anxious about it. I don't like it. I don't feel like it lands with people. People stop giving me praise for my content and I extra feel shitty about it. The Chiron and Aries collective wound. I'm just trying to seem like an authority and cool, right? So I've been wondering why I've been so constipated with content. And what happened the other day is, or quite a few times, is in sessions I would have or when I would go introduce myself in a mastermind that I'm hosting a workshop in, or when I'd go to record a podcast, I accidentally would have I guess this was clearly a gift from the cosmos, but it felt accidental to me. But I was emotional before I'd go do it. And I would think in that moment, I'm too emotional to go coach this person, or I'm too emotional to go share in this or in this mastermind, or I'm too emotional to go record this podcast right now. But it would be in moments when I'd have no choice but to go in. And I know this was picked up because this is how the eclipse this month is hitting me. This is why I'm getting this download. I had no choice but to express the emotion before I actually went into my spiel. And that's not been the case in the past. In the past, my emotion hasn't been so heightened. Like I've been able to stuff it down enough where I can seem cool, confident, leader. Well, because I couldn't do it this time, I just had to tell everyone I was anxious, or I just had to allow the emotion to be raw and out there, and I had to lead with it. And what ended up happening is that emotion would then lead into me saying something and introducing myself or sharing a podcast or sharing something with a client in a way that was so much more powerful than I ever had shared before. And after it happened a few times, I was like, wait a second. I've been resisting these emotions, thinking it would be so fucking embarrassing if people saw how emotional I was, because I'm supposed to be this bold leader. But every time I've been leading with it recently, it's led into me having my best messaging yet, my best work yet. And then actually people tell me I'm a permission slip for them and that it just took so much pressure off them for me to do that. So it's like healing to me to realize I can just be emotional when I lead, and it's healing to them. Do you see where I'm going with this? The square I realize that's building is there's this challenge between wanting to bring emotion into leadership, but emotion is authenticity, and that's what we've been missing. And so emotion is actually going to be the pathway to the strongest leadership these next 20 years. And it's going to require a lot of vulnerability from people. But here's the thing, as you're vulnerable and you share your truth and you connect, you're even vulnerable with yourself, you will heal deep ancestral wounds and you will unlock deep gifts. Pisces is on the North Node. Every time you overcome a self-sabotaging behavior, which the collective self-sabotaging behavior right now is stuffing our emotions down, stuffing our truth down, not giving ourselves inner emotional resolve, but trying to control our external world to give us that emotional resolve. No, we're being taught that we're the only ones who can give ourselves emotional fulfillment by being raw and real with our emotion first and letting it to flow instead of having the external world validate us for seeming like a cool authority and not giving us our emotional stability. No, it's raw time. It's vulnerability, go time, people. That's where your success is going to come from. And so it's going to require people to trust that it's not about showing up imperfectly. It's about showing up in your raw emotional truth and that being the transmission humanity needs right now. So the challenge is going to be overcoming that vulnerability, sharing that emotional truth, connecting to that emotional truth, learning that sharing your emotions is actually the way you can regulate yourself. And then in turn, it regulates the other people on the other side. We don't have to hide our emotions from each other. It just blocks everyone from the truth. So that's the new way of leadership we're entering into. I wanted to share about. I'm so curious what you think about this. Hit the like bell if you're like, fuck yeah, I'm ready for some emotional truth. Leave me a comment on if you've been feeling this and if this liberated you. Just let me know how it landed. Make sure to subscribe so you stay up to date on more videos I put out, and I'll see you guys on the next one.